I don't know. It's good me. Good morning. I am seeing a deck in my mind's eye, and the way I found it immediately. Oh my god, why is this in my pocket? What else, Spirit? What else? For my collective. I'm sorry, y'all, but they want me to use that same deck that I have to use the guidebook for, but I just saw this one in my mind's eye as well. And I feel like we need one more. So, before we get into it, I think I may have found a solution to last Thursday's stream problem. If you were on last Thursday's stream, there was like information overload coming in, and I feel like that actually might be because we did too many readings last week. However, I'm realizing that it's probably because we did too many general readings. So I'm going to try this week to do topics and then see what happens. If we can do it this way, that's great. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But it's an option that we're going to try. So today's topic, as I mentioned on TikTok and is in the little depiction, is going to be what can I do to better connect spiritually? So this can be like your connection with the divine. This can be your connection to God, source, your spiritual team, whatever it is that you believe in. All right? There's no right or wrong here. However it resonates, it resonates. I'm going to once again let y'all continue to trickle in. I'm realizing there's probably an echo. You caught a glimpse of my TikTok yesterday too. Thank you. Yes, I caught that right as you probably said that, but I fixed it. At least I think I fixed it. Did I fix it? So let's cleanse the space and these decks. If I could find a lighter, that'd be cool. Cool. Glad to hear. All right. Let's get into it, y'all. So before we hop right in, I do want to mention, as per usual, if you guys would... Hello. Let's try that again. I want to mention, as per usual, if you guys have an Amazon Prime membership, you can actually subscribe through your Amazon Prime, and you don't have to pay the subscription fee. That being said, if you choose to go that route, you do have to resub every month. If you do choose to subscribe, just remember that that helps to support me and helps to make more of these potentially happen in the future, and I deeply appreciate it. Those of you that don't have the means to subscribe, I do want to mention that watching the ads is how I get paid, and it's supporting me and my platform and helping me to do more of these once again in the future. Because if I get a better PC, we'll get more going. Anyway, I digress. Let's get into it now. Just grabbing this other one. So the ones that I was pulled to today for the reading are this deck here, which is called the Wild Unknown Archetypes. Okay, we are going to be reading from a guidebook from this one, so I'm probably going to do this one first because I'm still not super familiar with it. We're working on it. We're learning together. Then I was pulled to the Spirit Secret Messages. All of these decks today, by the way, I saw in my mind's eye. So I feel like that's an omen in itself. Like, some of you, how you connect more spiritually is by opening up your, your third eye, confirmation. So this is the Spirit Animal Oracle, for those of you that are curious. And then lastly, I saw this one in my mind's eye before anything else. So this is the Disney Villains Tarot deck. And the message that I immediately heard when I saw this deck in my mind's eye was that a lot of y'all, quite literally, how you connect better spiritually is by removing the negative mindset you have, by removing negative energy, whatever that means for you. But let's get into it. What the hell is that song? Steady trying to find the motive. I do what I do. Freedom ain't getting no closer. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. Is that Locked Up by Akon? Won't let me out. Yes. I have no idea, but just started hearing it. All right, let's see. What do we have for the collective? What can they do to better connect spiritually, Spirit? What can my collective do to better connect spiritually? Well, interesting. Something about Dead Poets Society. This is the Village. I'm also being really pulled to that mountain there. Don't look at my cuticles, they're gross. But there's something very underneath of that. We have like the queen poking out. Interesting. There's something very symbolic about this mountain in the background. I'm also being really pulled to like the color of the sunset. Sunsets in general could be important for this particular group. I'm also seeing like something about having to cross a field to get to the mountain, to climb the mountain to get to you. They also just showed me a book in my mind's eye. It's called "The Mountain is Within You." Is you. I'm looking it up. I haven't read it since like 2020, but it's a book on self-sabotage. So there could be something correlating towards some of y'all needing to come to terms with self-sabotaging behavior. I'm also hearing like self-destructive behavior. The Mountain. It's called "The Mountain is You," and it's by Brianna West. But it's Wiest, and you can find it online for free, by the way. Like, this is one of those few books that you can find pretty easily, and it's like the author did that, okay? I feel like there's something about that particular book that could be really eye-opening for this particular collective. Interesting energy. What did I say in the beginning? It's like, for a lot of you, you standing your own way. Which just made me think of you can go your own way, go your own way. Anyway, you block yourself off from source. You stand in the way of yourself and your connection to your spiritual team. So for a lot of you, I feel like you have, I don't know how else to explain this, but there's a mask here. Okay, they keep showing me like this. We do also have the mask in the reverse position for this deck. But they keep showing me a mask, and then they show me like judgments, and you do have the judge inverted. So it's almost as though this particular collective, you block yourself off from your spiritual truth because you're afraid to remove your own mask. And then there's also an element of this where you have a tendency to kind of judge your downloads or judge spirit. I don't know how else to explain that, but the judgment energy is kind of giving me this omen that some of y'all have a tendency to kind of look at things in a more negative light when it comes to your spirituality, especially. The other card that came out is the One in the reversed. Some of you have kind of, I don't know how else to say this, so I say this with the utmost love, but some of you have kind of a backwards way of thinking when it comes to spirituality and source. You believe that there's only one person or a handful of individuals that can connect with spirit, and that's just simply not true. You can connect in any capacity, no matter who you are, no matter what your gifts are. I personally believe that each individual being has gifts and abilities psychically, but it's a matter of opening yourself up to them. And opening yourself up to those gifts and abilities means you have to kind of face where that judgment's coming from. And 9 times out of 10, it's coming from religious trauma. And then the other small percentage, it's coming from a fear of being different. And sometimes it's both. Okay, so I feel like there is this element where this collective needs to acknowledge there's not only one individual collective of people that are psychic, everybody's psychic in their own way. And B, it's a matter of kind of removing that blindfold and that mask from yourself and saying, why do I think this way? What part of me believes that only a certain group of people are gifted? What part of me doesn't believe that I myself am gifted? But let's go to these cards now. Obviously, we're getting more connected to these because I just did a bunch of channeling without the guidebook, so proud of myself. I'm also hearing like having pride for yourself could be important for this collective. Take that however it resonates, okay? I also think it's interesting, like this particular deck, from the times that we've used it, I'm sure a lot of y'all already know, it's very colorful usually. So the fact that this particular card is all black and white is symbolic of something. Do I know what? Absolutely not. But I kind of feel like for some of you, maybe that's how you see spirituality. Maybe that's how you see source or how you see the divine. I'm going to say spirituality, but it could be God, it could be spirit, it could be your spiritual team, it could be an archangel. I want you to take it however it aligns for you, okay? So, this is about one love. Our ability to experience this archetype firsthand is limited. It comes in brief and potent moments that we are left to savor for a lifetime. The one is both the energy that unites all living beings and our capacity to sense this intimate union. This archetype eludes us most of our lives, appearing as a concept in a distant galaxy. Yet when we are in the midst of its power, a solemn reverence falls across all of the land. We glimpse ourselves in the vastness of all consciousness and are neither small nor large. Within that field, we are neither important nor unimportant. All duality fades away, and we are left with what is the precious knowing that life is a gift, and we are both the giver and the receiver of this fortune. I like that energy. So when this is in the dark, which is the reversed, this is about ignoring, this is about omits, and this is about excludes. So a lot of y'all ignore your spirit. You ignore your spiritual team. You ignore your spirituality. I feel like you have a tendency to kind of avoid it. And I do feel like that ties into what I'd mentioned about the mask and the judgment energy. If you want to go deeper with this energy, you can look up James Turrell's The Color Inside, the poem of the self-portrait by David White. I'll put those in the chat. The unus mundus is a circle that representing the unity of existence. Is it possible that the beginning and the end of all things is love? It is said that Om is the formidable sound of the universe and that all other mantras are born from it. Simply imagining this possibility will activate the one. Interesting. Some of y'all are going through some sort of an activation. Like, I'm hearing you wouldn't be here if you weren't somewhat intrigued. Okay, if you want to go deeper with this energy here, I just put that in the chat. But yeah, as I was mentioning before I got sidetracked, a lot of y'all wouldn't be here if there wasn't some part of you that was feeling pulled spiritually. And I feel like that part of you that's being pulled spiritually is the authentic version of you. Because in my personal opinion, and this is just my opinion, I personally think that when we deny our spiritual side, when we deny our spiritual depth, whatever that looks like for each one of us, like whether that means you deny your Christianity or you deny your New Age, you deny your Wiccan, whatever your religious beliefs are, when you deny that, you're denying a part of yourself. And I feel like that's part of why a lot of you are being pulled towards this topic and why this topic came forward. Because some of you are currently in the process of like removing your own mask and looking at your own self. And I feel like the more you look at yourself, the more you're recognizing where these judgments came from, how to overcome them, and what you need to do to kind of persevere beyond. Something about a self-love spell could be important for this particular collective. Some of you could be in need of a little bit more self-love at this moment, which does remind me, tomorrow's topic for Patreon, for those of you that are, subscribed to my Patreon, or those of you that are intrigued in subscribing, tomorrow's topic is actually going to be, how can I become the best version of myself? So, and they gave me that yesterday. All right, so the mask. It's also kind of interesting to me that, like, I was channeling that Locked Up song by Akon, because, like, I personally don't think that tarot and this type of, like, channeling messages is not meant to be taken literally. So with that concept, I kind of feel as though Spirit's saying some of y'all are feeling trapped. You're feeling bound by your current circumstances, your current reality, maybe even your mind. Take it however it resonates for you. So we have the mask in the reverse position. I'm also seeing that movie with Jim Carrey. It's called The Mask. I've actually never seen it. It freaked me out as a kid. So much so that I thought Jim Carrey was creepy until recently. But I honestly feel like that's because he's done a lot of work on himself. But that's just my opinion. This came out in 1994. That's insane. Just putting it in the chat in case y'all are wondering. All right, so this I think is really interesting. If you look at the colors, I'm going to put it in the upright for a second. So if we look at the color differences, there's like this darkness, right? But then there's this light where you can see the mask. This is what needs to happen. This is where you're stuck. This is what opens up. It's like when you remove that mask, there's no longer darkness. There's no longer doubt, is what I'm hearing. Some of you, to put it bluntly, part of the reason you can't connect spiritually or you don't feel connected spiritually is because you have a lot of self-doubt, like crippling self-doubt is what I'm hearing. So this one is the persona, the performance, and the reveal. We often think of a mask as something that conceals our identity, yet contemplate the possibility that the mask permits our true identity to be revealed. It allows. The mask gives voice to that which was previously rejected. When this card appears intact, the side of you that is seeking expression yet was never given a role to play on the stage of your life, you are in the realm of theater, so anything is possible. Speak with the other's voice, embody the other's limbs. You are taking part in the ritual of expanding the self. There may be some mischief and deception around, and others may be trying on new masks too. No one is sure who is who. It is likely you've become so attached to a single mask that you need to fall face forward into the perception, bending time, trust it. So when this is upright, it reveals what has been suppressed. When it's dark, which it is, this further conceals what is being rejected. If you want to go deeper into this energy, you can look up the Mask of James Ensor, Jonah Jones, Jimmy Durham. I'm going to put those in the chat as well. Think of the mask or a costume you wore that felt empowering, marvelous, or fun. Who was it you were being? Something about Halloween, some sort of Halloween costume you had dressed up as within the last 10 to 20 years is literally what I just heard. Think back to that point. Who were you? Like, what character were you dressed up as? And why did it make you feel so powerful? Is that who still within you? Is another question y'all need to ask. Thank you for the subscription. As the Zen koan suggests, meditate on your original face, the one you had before. Your mother and father were born. Interesting. I kind of like that concept. All right, so this one I'm putting in the chat if you want to go deeper into it. I hate when my computer autocorrects something. I didn't ask you to do that. Something about one of the things I wanted to mention when we were reading that energy, some of y'all could have been theater kids. I don't know. You could have been into theater. Maybe you're into theater still. I'm seeing acting. They're showing me a really big emphasis surrounding Shakespeare, but specifically the one where he's holding the skull. I cannot remember what that is. Does anyone remember Is that Hamlet? I have to look it up. I was right. It is Hamlet. But for some reason, it brought me to looking up where Shakespeare's skull ended up. Apparently, no one knows, which intrigues the crap out of my true crime self. But um, Hamlet is also one of my favorite Shakespeare's. I know it's like quote unquote the darkest, but I don't know. There's something about it that and Macbeth are both phenomenal. But Hamlet, there's just something about it that I just find so fascinating. Is it Macbeth? I thought it was I thought it was Hamlet. Maybe it's in both. Either way, something about Shakespeare could be important. Kind of interesting. We have brought up Robin Williams and William Shakespeare. I don't think I brought up Robin Williams. I said Jim Carrey. Um, did I bring up Robin Williams? I don't remember. Oh, Dead Poet Society. You're right. I was like, when did I say his name? But true. I also loved Robin Williams when he passed away. It broke my heart. And I thought about like that really is one of those constructs where you never truly know what a person is experiencing because the outside of them can be totally different. Like if we were to look at Robin Williams in a more kind of like spiritual sense, like we are with this reading, if you think about the mask energy, that's exactly what that depicted. Like he perceived himself as this very bright, very colorful, very open, very funny, very warm. But inside he was dark. Inside he was, depressed. He was sad. He was going through a lot. And like he did not show that to the world. So it's almost like another layer to that mask energy. So this one is the judge. I'm going to find it in the book now. Something about like Judge Judy. I don't know. I haven't watched that since I was a child. So this one is about the critic, the diplomat, and the advocate. I think that's very interesting. So the other thing that I was seeing when I was talking about how a lot of you need to connect on a deeper level with your spirit by removing your blindfold and by removing the criticism that you have. I think I even said that in the very beginning. It's like some of y'all look at spirit and look at your spirituality and the messages that you receive through the lens of criticism and self doubt. And I feel like that's actually blocking you from better connecting to yourself as well as better connecting to your team spiritually. So, this also involves the advocate. The judge has an incredibly important job. They work every waking hour of every day, helping us discern what is safe, true, and just. When this archetype, remains unconscious or is captivated by fear, wise discernment turns into painful judgment of self and others. Ironically, the judge's energy can be the seed of racism, bigotry, and fear mongering. This is the judge out of balance, building walls separating from other. When this same discerning force is made conscious and healed, however, the judge may be found advocating for civil rights, causes, standing up for the underdog, providing resources for those in need, and forgiving again and again. Love is the deciding factor. Awakening this archetype is essential for the complex times we are in. Get your judge in order, the world needs to see it. So when this is in the light, this is about discernment, advocacy, right action, and compassion. When it's in the dark, this is about critical, punishing, unforgiving, and wall building. If you want to go deeper, you can look up Oris's and the White Feather of Mata. I'll put it in the description or the chat box, of course. Gandhi had an incredibly illuminated inner judge. He was a lawyer. He practiced silence one day a week in order to hone his discernment while on his revolutionary path. The judge's energy is contagious. When we feel judged, walls go up all around us. Similarly, when we feel accepted, the entire world softens. I'm going to read that again. The judge's energy is contagious. When we feel judged, walls go up all around. Similarly, when we feel accepted, the entire world softens. I love that because how fucking true. All right. Let's go into the spirit animal one now. If you didn't know this about me, I have OCD. I haven't been diagnosed, but I don't really think I need to be. Pretty confident in my assessment of myself, which means I have to have things organized or I'll go crazy. But also, I've kind of been unpacking a layer of that, like, and this is just my personal experience. I'm not saying people that have diagnosed OCD are the same as me, but I'm starting to understand that a lot of my OCD comes from my control issues. And honestly, I would argue that it's probably very similar for most people who struggle with OCD. All right. You believed you were and got diagnosed in 2020. You have severe control issues. See, that's what I'm saying. I've worked my ass off to kind of get out of the control issues that I did have. I'm not saying they're totally gone because I'm human, but I personally think a lot of OCD tendencies kind of correlate towards severe control problems. Anyway, I digress. So, what does my collective need to do to better connect spiritually, spirit? Holy crapola, that was fast. We don't get them in the reverse very often. Also, fun fact about me, I fucking love koi fish, and we just got that. I think they're so cute. The way they're like, we also have pig spirit. Which just made me think of a book. Now, it is a very, very dark book. We also have nightingale spirit. Love is all around. I went down a rabbit hole after I finished Haunting Adeline and Hunting Adeline by H.D. Carlton. I went down a rabbit hole and read literally every single book she's ever written up until the newest one. I haven't read the one that just came out. This particular book is kind of like, it follows it. It doesn't really, it's in the same time frame and it's in the same scope, like it's in the same universe as Haunting and Hunting Adeline. But it is very, very dark. So I am going to put that preface again. If you are into dark books that could be a little bit triggering, go for it. But do not ignore the trigger warnings, okay? It didn't bother me by any means because I'm one of those very few people. I'm weird, okay? I love horror movies and stuff like that. But I can also kind of like take the art out of the trauma, if that makes sense. But I know that not everyone can do that. So just be mindful. You've been warned. I think it's called Where is Molly? Is it that one? Yeah, so it's Where's Molly, and it's H.D. Carlton. And again, be mindful. She's a dark book. Okay, like, I didn't think it was that bad, but, like, I know that I'm not normal. Hello! You knew immediately? Did you read it? I actually really liked it. I loved everything she wrote. Like, I have been trying to get my hands on her newest book, but it's sold out everywhere. Speaks to how good of an author she is. All right. Beavers are also so cute. Can we just... So this is actually in the reverse position, which I find interesting. We don't get the reversals very often for these. Yes, you loved all her books. Big, dark romance girly. Her books were incredible. Honestly, I wish Satan's Affair was longer. And the one where they get, like, lost on the island, that one was phenomenal, too. Like, all of them, I honestly don't really usually see the ending coming, which is hard. As, like, an avid reader since I was a child, it's difficult to not see the plot twist coming. Okay, back to this. So, that is not the right page. Hello. Can you hear me? I'm in California. Is that how that goes? I am too. It's going to be a good read. I just know it. Is that by Adele? Hello, can you hear me? Hello from the other side. Yeah, it's Adele. I don't know. The hello from the other side always makes me think of like a spiritual communication though. Like I know that song's technically like about a breakup or something, but to me it always kind of felt more like targeted towards death and like communicating with the other side. Um, so this one in the reversed. So these cards have the upright and the reversal. The reversal in this particular deck is called a protection message. So this says Beaver Spirit has come to warn you to check for rotten wood in the foundations of your dreams. Perhaps you built your hopes on faulty promises or wishful thinking that something would work out just because you wanted it to. Maybe you made choices from a place of unworthiness, hoping that once you got what you desired, it would somehow change you and make everything better. And you had to face the truth that it didn't. Something about an ego death here. Or the Beaver Spirit may be telling you it is time to accept things as they are and perhaps consider abandoning the project, relationship, or situation so that you can make room for something better. Perhaps you need to go back and rebuild a solid foundation because what you desire may not be in alignment with what your soul intends. Beaver Spirit says you can always get busy and build something fresh and new if the desire is true. All manner of miracles can spring up from a new strong foundation when you remember your partnership with Spirit. Be clear about what you're building and why. Choosing from a place of worthiness, well-being, and wholeness. Self-understanding and acceptance will provide you with a solid blueprint to begin again. Get busy now. Beaver Spirit says, this is not a time to procrastinate, but a time to start building again. Always mindful of the foundation you are laying, trusting the Spirit is co-creating with you. That just made me think of a song. But I have to Google it before I share it because I think it's by an artist that I do not want to support. Apparently, it's also a movie. I have never seen this movie in my life, okay? But Begin Again made me think of a song, so I started to type it in on Google to see if it was by the artist that I thought it was by. It was, so we're not sharing that. But if you know, you know. But this movie is called Begin Again, and it came out in 2013, and it looks like it stars Mark Ruffalo. Yeah, which I love him. He's a phenomenal human being, in my opinion. So we're going to put that in the chat as well. Never seen it. No context of what it's about, but there could be something about that movie that's important for someone here. Hello. So the koi fish says there is always enough. And I feel like because of what we just talked about with that Beaver Spirit in the reversed, confirmation, there could be something about like needing to recognize your worth, needing to understand some part of yourself. Mark Ruffalo is a hear me out. That's not even a hear me out. That's so normal. He's so hot. Like, I mean, I get it, I guess, but like at the same time, I'm like, hear me outs for me, they gotta be weird. They gotta be real weird. Like, they gotta make me go, okay. And that's just me, though. Like, I have a hear me out. Girl, not to anybody else but you. Okay, well, me too. I can also name 6 different women that would back me. And maybe even 2 dudes. So perhaps just no one around you sees it, but everyone in my life agrees. My weirdest hear me out is a character from Breath of the Wild. If you've played that video game, I'm gonna let y'all assume which character it is, and I'm not gonna confirm or deny any of it. But like, I like the hear me outs that are weird. That's just me. Something about the golden energy is also really pulling me in here. Something about a golden aura, perhaps? Something about the answer is no. You too, you have a few. Mark Ruffalo and the Breath of the Wild character. He might. have to look it up, though. I haven't played in a while. He's not a human. And he's part of the main story quest. Jack Black would be like a hear me out. I mean, fair, but I also think that that's normal too, because he's a cutie patootie. I get it. Alright. I got sidetracked, y'all. Hear me outs are like my favorite. He does enjoy swimming. He does. He does. He swims for like a living. It's like his favorite thing to do. The other hear me out would be the Rock Man, because I feel like he would give a really good hug if it wouldn't kill me. Oh, that's a valid one. I actually said that to my roommate a while ago. Well, I don't live with her now, but like back when we still lived together, I was watching Mulan and I was like, dude, hear me out. And she was like, yeah, I see it. So the koi fish. I really do feel like for a lot of you, this is like a reminder that you are enough. The koi fish who grows big within a small pond reminds us that within each of us is a potential for prosperity. The law of abundance ensures that prosperity is our natural state. So, regardless of temporary outer conditions, you can call in prosperity and magnetically attract the opportunities and abundance you need. The message of the koi fish spirit is to begin to generate wealth within with deliberate intention, no matter how small your pond may seem, and appreciate abundance wherever you see it. Outer conditions will come to reflect your inner prosperity. So begin to become the self who is comfortable with wealth in all forms, even if at that moment it feels as if riches are not yours. They soon will be. Start to envision the plenty that Spirit wants you to experience, knowing that the moment you begin to commit to consciousness and deliberate co creating, Spirit will joyfully start bringing you what you need. You have so much to offer and so much of value to express to the world. In your little pond, there is much you need to create and much you can attract. Do not underestimate what you have or who you are, for the koi fish spirit wants you to know you are exquisite, loved, and deeply cherished. Trust the outer conditions are changing to reflect that truth. 111 on the page, by the way. Also, when I was reading that, I saw something about, I've been getting a lot of content about like neurology, basically, like your brain. So like how you can rewire. Basically, I'm just gonna show y'all. Okay. This one person popped up yesterday. Hello. This one person popped up yesterday, and they were talking about the neuroscience behind poverty.
I don't think I've ever heard anybody talk about the neuroscience of poverty, but let me tell you, being poor, being broke, being chronically underfunded and under-resourced, it will change your brain. It'll fuck up your brain. But what people don't realize is that
I want y'all to watch this. You know what? I'm going to repost it, okay? I want y'all to go watch it. First of all, I am a slut for psychology. I am a slut for anything to do with the brain. I think it's fascinating. I love to learn about it. One of the things that I have always felt really pulled towards is that your mind is one of those places where you can do what's called, I always call it mind over matter. It's how I put a lot of my addictions down. It's how I, stay dedicated to certain things. Do I struggle with stuff sometimes? For sure, I'm human. But one of the things that I have been kind of coming to terms with in the last couple of years, I would say, is that your money poverty, if you have poverty trauma, if you have trauma surrounding scarcity, that lives with you and it lives in your brain. So when you spend money, for me, for example, if I spend more than $20 on something, I'm doing this. And it's not because I need to be doing this. It's not because I don't have the money. It's because my brain is remembering a period of my life where I didn't have the money and I was in poverty. So when I spend money on something, even if it's practical, it triggers the out of me. So one of the things that I've been doing a little bit of research into is neuroscience and how to kind of correct that within my brain, because ultimately that's where it's coming from. And I feel like some of y'all might be in a similar energy, and that koi fish spirit could be here to tell you you have the power to overcome that mindset, that narrative. Do you think readings every week is chasing? I'm at a point where I feel like I need to trust I have the answers. I love your readings and I know this is how you make your money, but what's your opinion? I do, yes. I tell y'all all the time, if you're feeling like you need to stop watching tarot readings, then take a break. Me doing them every week and doing them like every day is not the same, because I'm not reading for myself, right? Like, I'm reading for a collective of people, and I think a lot of times people get confused by that. The only reason I'm able to do what I do is because I take my own bias and my own experiences out of the readings. It is very seldom that a reading will resonate for me, and if it does, it's like once every like 3 to 4 months, if that. It's probably longer. 9 times out of 10, though, I'm reading for a collective of people that are experiencing something different than what I'm going through on a day-to-day basis. And even if I wasn't, my bias is not in it, so it's not the same for me personally. But if you are in a position where you're watching readings and you're feeling like you're watching too many at that time, then take a step away from it. I did bring that up on last week's stream too. You're right. Thursday's streams might change moving forward, but we're going to see, like I said in the beginning of the stream, I think part of the problem last week was because we did too many general readings. So this week we're trying to do topics, and we're going to see if that makes a difference, but if not, it doesn't. And that's just it, because you can get information overload as well. But if you, Molly, are feeling like you are watching too much spiritual content, you're feeling like you're putting yourself in a cycle of chasing, then you need to trust your gut instinct after the fact. I am like the first person to tell you to like stop watching my stuff as well if you need to. I am not going to be offended by any means. You missed the beginning to this. That's okay. All right, lastly, we have the pig spirit. What number is that? 47. I also want to add one other layer to that. I think you can become addicted to tarot. I think tarot can be very addicting, and I think that's not really talked about enough. So if you find yourself in that cycle of chasing tarot and content like that, then there's probably a reason you're feeling pulled to walk away. So this actually says, ironically, use your mind wisely. What was I just saying about like neurospicy energy and like neuroscience, etc.? I just watched you. I was just curious, didn't want to offend at all. You did not offend me whatsoever. Don't worry about it. It's okay to have multiple day ones, no matter when it starts. Truth. So, pig spirit appears to remind you of the right use of intelligence, a gift we all have that is meant to be used with love, compassion, and discernment. Intelligence means recognizing the value of intuition partnered with smarts and common sense, which leads to intelligent solutions. When pig spirit appears, you are called to respect your analytical mind and use it for your highest good, recognizing that all facts must be considered, even when they do not fit what you already know. Spirit blesses us with wisdom when we allow pig spirit to nudge us into an open mind, thoughtful dialogues, whether with others or internally, as we mull over ideas, what we have to come to understand. You are intelligent and capable of clear-minded thinking, shaped by the wisdom you have accumulated and the intuition that will tell you when you have more learning to do, because not all facts are in. Now is a time that your decision-making powers are reliable, for you are in alignment with the pig spirit's intelligence. Interesting. Bless you. All right, we're going to move into the tarot now. I'm just going to put this deck away. So once again, remember, I was drawn to the Disney Villains tarot deck today, which to me, once again, is an omen that there's some negative energy that I feel like is blocking your connection with spirit. So part of the way that you can better connect spiritually is by removing your negative mindset, removing the judgments that we've touched on, removing the part of you that's kind of blocking your sense of self, is literally what I just heard. Okay. Something about February 14th, which just immediately made me think of a song. We might, if we have time at the end, we might do a little love portion because I'm seeing a deck in my mind's eye. And this song is more love focused than anything else. I think it's by A Boogie, but I want to check. Yeah. Stephen Curry. Alright. Bitches only love you when it's February. Which is interesting because I have some cards to post on Instagram later today. I see some of y'all needing to kind of be more open to receiving some sort of an apology, and I am hearing it's a heartfelt apology. There's some sort of communication coming forward from someone from the past, and I feel like in order for this person to have space to come in, you have to be more open to it. But if you want to see more about that, just hop over to my Instagram later today. If it's meant for you, it will find you, is what I'm being guided to mention. All right, what do we have, please, Spirit? Also, one other thing I want to add, Molly, I feel like I need to mention this. Chasing readings can be, I don't know how else to explain it. Like they're not really helping. So like sometimes chasing readings is more targeted towards when you're obsessively watching tarot content about another person or your love life or things like that. But when it comes to like healing and like this type of content, I think it's a little different. And like maybe that's just my own opinion, but like I personally think that like when it comes to self-help and growing, I don't think there's ever such a thing as too much advice. You know what I mean? But anyway, I digress. Heavy Pentacles energy here. So we have an interesting mix of energy. You use it for healing and self-help. You're not focused on yourself right now, not relationships. That's fair. So like personally, I would find that different, but I think it really depends on like what headspace you're in. I used to find myself chasing readings, but I've found that if it pops up on my feed on its own, even if it's only one part of a reading, I take that as it was meant for me. That's fair. So we have the Nine of Pentacles as the first card out today, which I find intriguing. I don't know why, but this is kind of like giving a river. Something about a gold coin. I'm also seeing something about the color burgundy. Then we also have the Knight of Pentacles. Didn't I bring up these guys recently? Was that in a collective reading or was it a client's reading? They all morphed together at some point. Something about the nighttime is going to be important. I'm also seeing something about like an epiphany. They're showing me like an illuminated mind. Some of you are about to have some sort of a holy moment surrounding your finances, surrounding the blockages in your finances specifically. And I feel like it's actually going to help you recognize that you're already in a position of power when it comes to your financial stuff. It's like that video that I just showed y'all that I reposted on TikTok. I feel like a lot of you are still kind of trapped in an old mindset around your finances and your own stability. So take it how it resonates, or your spirituality. And I feel like some sort of holy crapola moment is about to happen that's going to help you recognize that truth, if that makes sense. Something big is about to shift is also what they just said. Do you mean this one? This is carnelian. Although I do love me a sunstone. Reprogramming old minds is so hard. It's so hard. So if you're drawn to a carnelian crystal, y'all, you might need some self-confidence. You might need a little bit of self-love. You might need a little bit of boost of dopamine, if you will. Thank you. I lost my other one. I usually have two. I had two carnelian rings, and I lost my other one. My other one was my favorite. So I was really upset when I lost it. I know that when you lose a crystal, it served its purpose, but like when it's my favorite, it shouldn't be allowed to disappear. Just kidding. But yeah, carnelians are really good for self love. They're also really good to help increase your personal power. And if you're drawn to it, you're drawn to it for a reason. You just saw the yellowish, very pretty. Why, thank you. We also have the Four of Cups. Something about Peter Pan. Some of y'all could be like, a part of the epiphany that you're about to have could actually correlate towards like a fear of aging. Maybe you're going to have some sort of revelation surrounding not only your connection to your spirituality and like your intuition, etc., but also what's been blocking you. The Four of Cups came out with the Magician, and in this particular card, or in this particular deck, sorry, it's depicted as like the Voodoo King, excuse me, in The Princess and the Frog, which is such an underrated movie. It's in my top 5 for Disney. Maybe some of you need to practice voodoo. I do believe that's a closed practice, don't quote me. If it is a closed practice and you are in that culture, obviously do you. If this is a closed practice and you aren't, perhaps you're going to be initiated into the practice. Take that however it resonates, of course. If it's not about voodoo, for those of you that don't align with that energy, this could be about getting more into witchcraft. Especially because we are talking about what you can do to better connect spiritually. Some of you definitely need to kind of recognize the power that you hold within yourself and the capability you have to manifest the life that you want. But perhaps it's time for you to kind of like embrace your inner power, embrace your inner magic, is what I'm hearing. Which I do feel like has to happen by you removing that blindfold and that mask that we talked about in the very beginning of this reading today. You just watched The Princess and the Frog yesterday. I love that movie too. It's such a good one. There's something really symbolic about like the necklace that he's holding. I know y'all have seen, those of you that have seen The Princess and the Frog, this is technically Prince, like it's his like spirit or his soul or whatever I don't really remember. I haven't seen that movie in a while, but perhaps you can refresh my memory. Red Rabbit V. But I know it involves the prince and whatever spell he did with him. So there's something about that. It's like I'm honestly just hearing for some of y'all, it's more about a talisman. Whether this is a talisman of protection or a talisman of stability or strength, I don't know. Take it however it resonates for you. But there's something about perhaps creating a talisman for yourself. Hello. We have the Four of Swords. Interesting. You have 2 fours here today. Fours are all about stability and structure. They're about your foundation. And remember with that beaver spirit in the reverse position, it was talking about like reevaluating the foundation that you've created. Perhaps some of you need to kind of reflect back on whatever foundation you're standing on. I do also feel in a traditional sense, the Four of Swords is about a period of rest. It's about a period of taking time for yourself. I feel like Spirit's kind of encouraging this collective to connect back to their roots. So one of the ways that you're going to connect back to your spirituality is by taking a little bit more time for you, connecting back to your sense of self, resting, taking time for yourself, etc. But also while you're doing that, dabbling back into your witchcraft. For all the white folks in the chat, I suggest looking into whatever your lineage would have practiced before Christianity. I'm sure that's what most have done already, just throwing that out there. That's valid. I recently discovered in 2023, I think, that I have indigenous heritage, which I always kind of suspected, but I got like confirmation of that. And then suddenly it made total sense why everything I was pulled to involved indigenous history. Like dream catchers and sage and like even the drums and like I've always felt pulled to go to a sweat lodge and like things like that that are definitely close practices within that practice, but I had never felt like I could do it, and then finding that out made me feel a little bit more comfortable kind of moving towards that part of my history. It still scares me, but like because I am very pasty and people look at me and they don't actually see. And because they can't physically see it, they don't assume that I have ancestors in that aspect. I'm going to do one day. I'm going to do one day. Also, something about like shadows. Shadows in the dark. No, I would have to go look at what I feel like. I did my ancestry and stuff. I believe it just says, what is it? Let me see. I don't have a crazy high percentage. My dad's would be far higher than mine. Um, and one of my cousins who did the same thing has much higher than I do, but it's Canadian American Indigenous. So it doesn't show me, and that's part of the problem with like ancestry, and it's something that I would love to do more research into, but I don't know where the fuck to even find it. But I would love it. Maybe if any of y'all have advice on how to look further into like what section of it I would come from, that would be amazing. But like I'm Acadian, and Acadians and Indigenous, a lot of my, it's weird, like a lot of my Acadian ancestors literally would have pillaged and taken land from my Indigenous ancestors. So I have like two sides of my ancestors kind of at war with each other. Um, and that is also how it would have ended up in my family's lineage in our DNA stream, because unfortunately when they pillaged villages they did a lot of really horrendous and horrific things, as a lot of y'all know. I've thought about going to like one of the local indigenous centers and asking them to help me kind of dig a little bit deeper into my roots so I can figure out where I came from. It's been a pull. Your mom is Ukrainian/Scottish, and your dad is Cree. My mom's side and my dad's side both have Scottish and Ireland, so I think that's interesting. Ukrainian is cool. One more to end this off. Ooh, we have the Three of Wands. Really big emphasis on witchy stuff. I'm like being really pulled to the cauldron here. And the color green. So green to me is all about your heart chakra. You have a dream catcher from your grandfather, but never purchased another since he passed, as I don't carry that blood, but he raised me, so I carry a lot of that teaching with me. That's amazing. I personally think that if you're doing things in a respectful and kind way, that's what matters. And that's just me. Like, if you're not disrespecting the heritage, if you're not disrespecting the culture, if you're trying to be mindful of that, that's what I think is more important. Now, not with all close practice, of course. I think certain close practices like are closed for a reason. If there's an elder there, if you offer loose tobacco, I'm sure. That's what I was thinking. I was thinking of offering them some loose tobacco. One of the things I do know from like my mom's are honestly, she probably shouldn't be, but she's been into that whole cultural aspect for a very long time. So I do know that offering tobacco to elders as well as the ancestors in general is a way to kind of open up, a conversation, if you will. But yeah, that's a good idea. I never, like, I thought about it, but I didn't really in depthly think about it. I definitely should. So we have the Seven of Wands as the bottom of the deck energy, and then we also have the Ace of Cups. I feel like there could be some sort of a blockage in something opening up. So like the Ace of Cups to me is about a new beginning and a new opportunity where love is kind of overflowing. And I feel like for a lot of you, this is more love within yourself and within your spirituality than it is anything else. But there is some sort of like an obstacle that's standing in the way right now. And to put it quite bluntly, I feel like for some of you, the blockage is actually just you need to rest. You're just tired, is what I'm hearing. Now, they do want me to mention, with the Three of Wands here, I feel like this is an omen that you need to kind of just allow your ships to come to you. Allow things to manifest organically. They also want me to read this to y'all. The number 4 in tarot, okay? So 4 represents foundation, stability, and security. When a 4 appears in a reading, it can indicate a time of self-discipline, work, and service, as well as putting down roots and establishing yourself. Organization and pragmatism are important now. You need clarity too, if you want a situation to turn out well. If you're in a place where you want to be, a home, a job, a relationship, the 4 advises you to focus on stabilizing yourself. If, however, you're not satisfied with your current situation, it's time to plan and work at making constructive changes. Life can seem all work and no play now, but if your objectives are clear, you won't mind doing the work. Four's message is to take things slow and steady, be patient as you endeavor, bring your dreams to fruition. That's beautiful. You had Northern African, Middle Eastern, and Asian in Mumbai ancestry DNA. You're about as white as they come. Fair. In my not okay. That's awesome. Gotta love how our heritage doesn't contribute to the color of our skin. I know. It's pretty cool. Like, I'm pretty sure that the native side of me comes from my dad, but my mom will swear up and down that she thinks she has it somewhere in her DNA as well. I can't confirm or deny that, because who am I to tell someone if they're right or wrong? But it would make like my grandfather. So I never actually got to meet him because he passed away when my dad was quite young. But I've seen pictures of him and there is no denying it. Like when I saw a picture of him, that's what made me be like to my dad. I was like, "Are we indigenous?" And he was like, "No, I don't think so." And I was like, "Homie, like first of all, you look that part." And also look at my grandfather. And he was just like, "Oh, I don't know." And then finally I did my ancestry and I found it in our DNA. And I was like, I fucking knew it. And my dad was like, damn, I guess you're right. Especially because my cousin is also connected to his side that I happen to see in the ancestry. Because if you do your ancestry, it'll connect you to your relatives. Um, and the one that I happen to see is connected to him. So my mom, though, like I will give her this. She's not practicing close practice. She was actually like invited into it from an elder within a community back when we lived in the other side of Ontario. So she had when I was young, like I was like probably a baby. She maybe even before me because she says she manifested me in a sweat lodge and she had been invited and initiated into their heritage. I would have to ask her what particular group she became a part of. But to her credit, she's not doing things wrongfully, if you will. Um, which is the other thing. Like, I see a lot of people, this is a little off topic, but I see a lot of people on Spiritual Talk, especially, that are like shitting on these creators for doing close practices. And I'm like, how do you not, like, how do you know that they haven't been invited into this practice? Like, how do you know that somebody didn't initiate them? 9 times out of 10 they don't, but like at the same time I'm like you're just kind of assuming, you know what I mean? And I think I would have less of a frustration with it if they were a little bit nicer. They're always kind of mean. They're like, how dare you do this, and I get it, like the rage is valid, but at the same time I feel like you should be coming at it through the lens of compassion first and being like, hey, did you know that this is a close practice? Did someone initiate you? If they did not, you should not be doing this. That's just my opinion. Like I think you can educate people in a kind way. But I also have a backwards way of thinking than most people. Which leads me to another topic. I saw this video today and it really, really grinded my gears. There's this girl who has a pretty big platform. Like, she has over 1 million followers. She's a makeup influencer. I cannot remember her name, nor would I share it even if I did. But she decided to do a video and she was like, doing my makeup like my haters. And then she literally posts this girl's picture all over her videos, then does her makeup and makes fun of the makeup while she's doing it, and I'm like, hey, this is like bullying. Like, did that girl need to leave that comment in the first place? Probably not. But turning around and doing what you're doing is weird. Like, I don't know. I just, am I weird for thinking that? Right? Like, it's straight up bullying. You hate SM now. It's so fake and hateful. It has always been. It has always been, but it's definitely worse than it used to be. Like this video, and it also like this video went viral, and it had like hundreds of thousands of likes and comments, and all of the comments were backing this girl. And I'm like, this is mean girl energy. Like this is fucking weird. Did that girl need to leave the comment in the first place? I'm gonna go back to no, but that doesn't mean you need to stoop to her level. Like, an eye for an eye never gets you anywhere, or whatever that saying is. I thought it was super weird. It left me like I felt really uncomfortable after watching it, and I was like, this is gross. Like, how does this have this many likes? Like, making fun of the girl's eyebrows, making fun of, like, how she did her makeup. I'm just like, ugh. I'm sure not many people would have even seen that comment. Exactly. Like, that's the other factor. Like, you're trolling a woman who left one comment on a video that probably had hundreds of thousands of other comments. In my opinion, that's a reflection of your own insecurity and how this person triggered you versus, you know, punking a mean person. I don't even know what to word that. I just thought it was really weird. Good to know I'm not the only one that thought it was really weird. I don't know. I have like injustice trauma, so like I was severely bullied as a child. So when I see people bullying other people, regardless of the context, I get infuriated. Infuriated. That was the right word, not the first one. Anyway, y'all, that was all for today. Do we have any questions before we end the stream? Good afternoon to you as well. I will mention, not this Thursday, but the following Thursday. Nope, the last Thursday of the month. So the 30th. Not the 30th. Oh my god. Y'all. Okay. Reboot. The 28th. So the last Tuesday of the month. I might have to move the stream from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. or cancel it entirely because I have a concert in Toronto the night before and I will not get home until hella late at night. I will keep y'all posted on what we choose to do, but I just wanted to kind of like put that preface out there beforehand. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thanks. Have a great week. I hope y'all do too. So we will try again on Thursday. So like this coming Thursday, which is the 16th, which is insane. We will try to do another afternoon stream. So it'll be at 1 p.m. I'm hoping that we can actually do a stream, but like we'll see what happens. I don't know. But yeah, I love y'all. I hope you have a great rest of your week. I will see you on Thursday at 1 p.m. If the energy is off, I'm gonna tell y'all right now, it might just end up being like a let's hang out and chat. But we'll see what happens on Thursday. I will let y'all know ahead of time. I hope y'all have a great rest of your day, and I will see you whenever I see you next.